Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I have come very unprepared. Whatever I speak tonight is going to be words that our 14 heroes are going to put into my mouth. And before I start, encourage me with a loud salawat. A very, very, very long time ago, man and woman together had very happy lives. He got up, he went hunting. He risked his life. He went into the jungles. He targeted his prey. He shot his prey. He found his direction all the way back to his home and fed his wife and his children. His job description was very straightforward. He was the lunch chaser and the protector and nothing more. A woman's role was equally the same. She could bear children, so she was the nest defender. She nurtured her children. She kept them close to her. She also collected little fruits and vegetables from around her. And she made little groups of women sit with her, and they chatted and chatted and chatted and chatted and jib jab jib jab jib. Basically, there was no expectation from him to analyze a relationship. There was no expectation of him to be sensitive towards her feelings. There was no expectation of man to listen, to change diapers, to throw out the rubbish, to take the garbage out at night. Nobody expected her, on the other hand, to fight for any rights, to carry placards in her hand and scream for anti-abortion rights, her equal rights. She didn't go fend for food. She didn't have to fight the enemy. That was not expected of her. The biggest enemy here was survival. They had to fight in order to survive. And for hundreds and thousands of years, man and woman lived very happily, just like this. Till one day, the problem was not survival anymore. The problem had changed. Survival had become easy. There was a lot of time on their hands. So now man and woman were starting to think. Mind became the problem. And with mind came ego, the biggest human enemy of all. Give me a salawat. And with this, the fairy tale ended. You see, the word woman comes from a biblical reference of two syllables, woo and man. Woo means to attract, to lure, to lust, to seduce the man. Without the word man in woman, she's not a woman. No doubt the book of Genesis says that woman was created from the rib of a man. Of course she was. Because at a time when you are attributing man in a woman, and without a man, woman cannot even exist as a word. The book of Genesis it makes sense. She is a bone of your bones. She is a flesh of your flesh. But what doesn't make sense is that a man can live without a rib. A man cannot live without a heart. If she was a heart, that would be different. If she was the brain, then it was understood. A man can live without a rib. Basically, this is biologically wrong. Because by saying this, you are saying that the woman will not procreate, and the women will kill and the men will fight amongst each other and finally kill themselves. And there would be no human race. You see, for years and years, I have researched one topic, and that is the difference between the man and the woman, and that doesn't stop. Every book I've read is politically correct. It's tweaked so that we don't feel shock. But the truth is, the difference between a man and a woman are so extreme that anyone logically reading it should be shocked. We may be of the same species, but nothing about us is alike. Nothing. She has eyes, he has eyes. But the eyes of a woman are behind her back, are in the back of her head. You know why? Because she has a wider peripheral vision. She had to nurture her kids. She had to keep them close to her. So she had to see more for more predators. Man has tunnel vision. He had to go hunt. He had a target, he had to zero in, shoot the target and come back. And that's all he had to do. It's the same eye, but it's extremely opposite. This is why when a woman enters the room, she has this radar. She'll scan the entire room. And men find that shocking. Because when she's scanning it, she knows who hates who loves who's feeling how, which lamp is broken, which blind is dirty, who is going with who is going to get a breakup. But when a man enters a room, he just looks straight. Whatever he sees first, he will stare at. If it's attractive, he'll stare at for a longer time. And if it's interesting, even longer. The irony is, a woman also sees and stares, but because she has a wider peripheral range, because she can see more and very quickly, she doesn't get caught, he does. The man gets caught, the woman doesn't get caught for ogling. It's the same eyes, but a man has this long range navigational skill. He had to see the animal from far in order to hunt it. She has short range navigational skill. This is why when a man goes to the fridge and he's trying to find butter, he doesn't find it. It's right in front of him. And he's screaming, "Honey, where's the butter?" And she said, "Open your eyes, it's right in front of you." And he says he's moving his head up and down, looking left and right, just like a hunter. But he cannot find the butter. It's not because he's blind. It's because he's used to the long peripheral vision. He's used to the long navigational skill. She can see everything close in detail. She had to, because she had to closely look at her children and nurture and protect them. So he'll tell his friends, "I think my wife is hiding all my socks, all my shoes, and all my shirts, and the butter from the fridge." And she is telling her friends, "He's blind as a bat." They're the both eyes, but the way they perceive it, hormonally, the brain wiring is extremely opposite. It's the same ear. The man will hear longer distances. He had to. And the woman will hear closer distances. Every pitch and tone is clear to her. That's why when a woman looks at you in rage and says, "Oh, check that tone, darling," she is picking up every little tone in your voice. And that is the same ear. He hears far, she hears from near. It's the same nose. It's the same nose. He smells far, she smells near. The brain is the same. He thinks linear. She thinks circular and circular and circular and circular. You tell a man the sky is blue, he will repeat, "Yes, the sky is blue." You tell a woman the sky is blue, she will say, "Yeah, it is blue, but it could get orange." How do you know? It could be green. How do you know it's blue? She's playing and playing and playing in her head. And he doesn't understand why that whole circular motion is happening. She cannot help it, neither can he. Many times you hear a man saying, hold on, can you say it one at a time, please? While she's jabbering, multitasking, so many different stories all at once. She's made that way, he's made that way. It's two different brains. It's the same mouth. A woman can speak, a man can speak 1,000 words maximum. A woman can minimum speak 3,500 words a day. This is 3 times more than what he can speak. So can you imagine, and I'm talking to my brothers here, and I know it's true, and don't deny it. After the first 1,000 words you're hearing, blah, 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 blah. Isn't that true? But she'll go on and on and on because she can. It's the same mouth. His capacity is 1,000. Hers is a minimum 3 times more than him. You see, this is where the joke is on us. Why is it that the same species, 2 different genders, are so extremely different that yes, one is from Mars and the other is from Venus, and that's not exaggerated. And the joke is, how do you expect them to even work it out? How is it even possible to make it compatible? The designer who's designed this was either playing the joke or had a good sense of humor. Because not only is he saying, I'm going to create you so extreme and put you under the same species, I am going to offer you half of Jannah if you get along. And as impossible as it is, he throws in a key, and he calls that key free will. I will control your every breath, but you have the control of controlling how you're going to breathe. Are you going to breathe anxiously with fear? Or are you going to breathe courageously with a calm inside you like Hussein ibn Ali? Are you going to stay in your biological state and point fingers at each other? Or are you going to rise higher and much above it and transcend from the bashar state, the human being state, to the highest state called insan, or just the being? And when I give you the free will, make the choice. Because as long as you stay in your biological state, you will never get along. Don't get fooled by all the smiles you see in giggly couples. Don't get fooled by all the happy faces you see in these long-term marriages. No, behind every happy face of a couple is confusion, is distress sometimes. We haven't figured it out. We cannot figure it out. The only way to go beyond it is to transcend it, is to become that Ashraful Makhluqat, the best and the highest of His creation. And that can only happen when you make that choice of using your free will to become insan from Bashar. Salawat. And then when 2 beings get together, they become beings of light. And one mirrors the other. The beauty of one is the reflection of the other. When Majnun went, tapped on the door of Layli, she never opened it. Because every time he asked, who are you? Kiye? He said, Majnun. Years passed and he went crazy. One day he went so crazy that he goes and taps on the door, and he's in a state of trance and he's a Majnun now. And she says, Kiye? And he says, I am Layli. The day he became her was the day Layla opened the door for Majnun. the day the human becomes the being and starts having the color of Allah, Rang-e Ilahi, that is the day where if it's a man or if it's a woman, whatever your gender may be, we transcend beyond our gender. And that is why when we come together as a couple, one reflects the other, one becomes the mirror of the other. And when that happens, the man is called Ali and the woman is called Fatima. Salawat. You see, Fatima was not just an obedient wife. She was not a weak entity. What history portrays her was the docile Fatima who took care of her children. Fatima was the powerhouse of strength. If there was no Fatima, there would be no Zainab-like daughter. If there was no Fatima, there would be no fearless like Hussein. As a child, she was called Abiha, the mother of her father. Why? Because the orphaned Muhammad never had a mother. Again, see the design. He wasn't from aristocracy. He was an orphaned boy of a woman who milked sheep in the tribe of Quraysh. Muhammad never came with so many degrees. He came with a concept. He was not supported by the rod that turned into a serpent. He was not supported by the burning bush. He never had the healing touch. He never brought the dead back to life. He never had what Isa and Musa had. Muhammad came just with a concept. And if a concept can spread like that, that is real power. That is incomparable power. You see, the best and the worst in any form of creation always come back to the center, and that is the nature of creation. Somehow nature is designed to become zero and centered at all times. Look at ourselves. They destroy, they construct. They construct, they destroy. There's black, there's white. There's day, there's night. There's morning, there's night. There's the sky, there's the earth. Everything comes back to a center. That center is what the Hindus call Shunya, or the zero. And the zero is where what we think. As Buddha says, we think what we are, and it finishes there. The center of it all is a Kaaba. The Kaaba is the focal point. The Kaaba is a cube, a very simple form of architecture. As an architect, it's the most stable form of architecture in the world. Around it, man is ordered to circle and circle and circle, like the insects would, the moth would to the flame. Ibrahim built the Kaaba, ordered by him, but his grave is not there, next to the house of God. Muhammad spread the message, sold the concept so brilliantly, but his grave is not there next to the Kaaba. There is a grave of only one person, very close to the house of that infinite divine, and that is the grave of a woman. The woman who was the slave girl of Ibrahim, the second wife of Ibrahim, sent away in the middle of nowhere. Today when you go to Hajj and you do not go around Hajar, your Hajj is not complete. You do not run with the desperation of Hajar as she carried Ismail, who didn't have water in that dry, arid land. Your Hajj is not complete. He chose a woman, and how? To show that when I picked woman, I gave her a miracle. And it's the miracle of birth. And with it, I gave her biologically that thing that I never gave man. The natural, unconditional love. Man can develop it through skill, but a woman is naturally given at birth. this is why that much respect given to a woman buried right next to his house. Now you think that when a woman with her unconditional love is saluted and respected so much by that Allah, who is that woman who fasted for 3 days and 3 nights because her children were sick? Because she vowed and she just said, if they get better, I will fast for 3 days and 3 nights. This was her business deal with Allah. And every time in the house of Ali, when iftar was served, one night comes a needy, the other night comes a captive, the other night comes an orphan. Every night, bread was taken from those little sick children and given away when an unconditional love is spread to the extent of Arhamur Rahimin, the most merciful and the most compassionate. When it extends beyond just the mother but to the world, then she is called Fatima. That is the synonym for Fatima, the absolute unconditional love. So how can it be that when we go to a door like hers, we can come back empty-handed? How is that even possible? You see, at a time where the Jahils, the ultimate of Jahils, were burying their girl childs alive. How foolish that you are finishing the entire human race by killing the woman who is the cause for the race to continue. In the most Jahil, the most darkest, the most ignorant of all ages was sent a man called Muhammad, the ultimate seal of the prophets. He stood up as Fatima walked in. He married a woman twice his age. He said, Fatimatu biz'atu minni, she is a part of me. Whoever troubles her, whoever angers her has angered me. And that is where you start to see that, well, the woman in the West is an object. I know, but I speak 3 times more than you, so. Come on. Where you're showing a tire commercial and she's standing next to it posing. No, you're selling a tire. Are you selling the woman? When a woman realizes that she can rise above her human state, be the being as Fatima was, beyond her gender, and unite with an Ali, then she can achieve perfection. And that is what she represents. Allahumma salli ala Fatimatu wa abiha wa ba'luha wa banuha. Salam.